The wedding was at a boutique hotel in the heart of downtown, a beautiful old building that had been converted into an elegant event space. I arrived early to help Sophie get ready, along with 2 other bridesmaids I barely knew from her walk. Sophie looked like a princess in her white dress, her dark hair swept up in an elegant twist, her face glowing with happiness. We took pictures, sipped champagne, and I helped her into her veil while the other bridesmaids cooed about how beautiful she looked. "I'm so nervous," Sophie confessed, squeezing my hand. "Is that normal?" "Completely normal," I assured her. "But you have nothing to worry about. Today is going to be perfect." And it would be. Just not in the way she expected. The ceremony was set to take place in a room with high ceilings and enormous windows overlooking the city. White flowers were everywhere, and soft music played through hidden speakers. Rows of chairs faced an altar decorated with roses and candles. I took my place at the front, holding my bouquet of white lilies, watching the guests file in. David's parents were there, looking distinguished and happy. Sophie's family was there, her mother already crying happy tears. Friends from work, old college buddies, people from all parts of their lives coming together to celebrate this union. None of them knew the truth. The music changed, and everyone stood. Sophie appeared at the back of the room on her father's arm, and there was a collective gasp at how beautiful she looked. She started walking down the aisle, her eyes fixed on the front of the room where the groom waited. Where David waited. I watched him as she approached. He looked handsome in his tuxedo, his face lit up with love and anticipation. This was the man I'd married, the man I trusted with my whole heart. And he was about to marry my best friend. Sophie reached the altar, and her father lifted her veil to kiss her cheek before taking his seat. Sophie and David stood facing each other, holding hands, smiling like they were the only 2 people in the world. The officiant, an older woman with kind eyes, began the ceremony. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the union of Sophie Chen and David Richardson." Around the room, I saw confusion ripple through the crowd. David Richardson. Some people were putting the pieces together, recognizing the name, starting to whisper. David's mother stood up. "What is going on?" David looked panicked. He'd wanted to keep his last name secret, I realized. He'd wanted to figure out how to handle the fact that he was marrying his wife's best friend after the wedding, when it was too late to stop it. But Sophie looked just as confused. "David, why is your mother here? You said your parents were traveling, that they couldn't make it." "Sophie," David said, his voice strained. "I can explain." "Explain what?" Sophie demanded, her voice rising. "David, what is happening?" This was my moment. I stepped forward, still holding my bouquet, and looked at Sophie. Really looked at her. "Sophie," I said gently. "David's last name is Richardson. David Richardson. My husband's name is David Richardson." The color drained from Sophie's face. No, that's not possible." "David told me," he said. "He said what?" I asked. "That he was divorced. That his marriage was over. That he was free to start a new life with you." "Emma," David said, turning to me, his face a mask of panic and guilt. "Please, not like this." "Not like what, David?" I said, and now my voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. "Not like you've been having an affair with my best friend for 6 months. Not like you've been lying to both of us, playing us both, making plans to marry her while still married to me." The room erupted. People were shouting, crying, standing up. David's father was yelling at David. Sophie's mother was trying to get to the altar. The bridesmaids were huddled together, whispering frantically. But Sophie just stood there, frozen, staring at David with tears streaming down her face. "You told me you were divorced," she whispered. "You said your marriage ended years ago. You said." I'm sorry, David said, and he looked genuinely broken. I was going to tell you, I was going to end things with Emma, but the timing was never right, and then things moved so fast, and I didn't know how to. You're still married, Sophie said, her voice growing stronger, angrier. You brought me here, you let me plan this whole wedding, you let me stand up here in front of everyone, and you're still married. Sophie, I love you, David pleaded. That's real. What we have is real. I just needed to find the right way to. The right way. Sophie screamed. She threw her bouquet at him. You lied to me. You've been lying to me for 6 months. And Emma, she turned to me, her face crumpling. Emma, I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know. He told me he was divorced. He said his marriage ended badly and he didn't like to talk about it. I never would have, if I'd known. And looking at her face, seeing the genuine shock and horror there, I realized something. Sophie had been lied to just like me. Maybe not in the same way, but David had betrayed us both. He'd played us both. And standing there in her wedding dress, in front of all these people, realizing that the love of her life was a liar and a cheater, Sophie was just as much a victim as I was. I know, I said quietly, and Sophie's eyes widened. You know, she whispered. How long have you known? 2 months, I admitted. I found the emails between you two. I read everything. 2 months. Sophie's voice was barely audible. And you didn't say anything. You helped me plan this wedding, you stood here as my maid of honor, knowing the whole time. I did, I said. Because I needed you to understand. I needed everyone to see who David really is. If I told you privately, he would have found a way to explain it away, to make you believe his lies. He would have convinced you that I was the problem, that our marriage was already over, that what you had was special and different. But I loved him, Sophie said, tears streaming down her face. I really loved him. I know, I said. I loved him too. That's why it hurt so much. Not just that he cheated, but that he did it with you. My best friend. The person I trusted most in the world besides him. Sophie sank to her knees, her white dress pulling around her on the floor. She was sobbing now, huge, gasping sobs that shook her whole body. I wanted to comfort her, but I also wanted her to feel this pain, to understand what betrayal really meant. David tried to approach her, but Sophie's father blocked his way. Don't you dare, he growled. Don't you come near my daughter. David looked around the room, seeing nothing but angry, disappointed faces staring back at him. His parents looked devastated. His friends looked disgusted. This was the consequence of his choices, laid bare for everyone to see. I'm sorry, David said again, but the words sounded hollow. I never meant for any of this to happen. I never meant to hurt anyone. But you did, I said. You hurt both of us. You made us both look like fools. And the worst part is, you would have gone through with this. If I hadn't said anything, you would have married Sophie today while still being married to me. That's bigamy, David. That's actually illegal. David's face went even paler. I could see him realizing just how deep a hole he'd dug for himself. The wedding, obviously, did not happen. The hotel staff cleared out the room while guests slowly filed out, some angry, some crying, all shocked by what they'd witnessed. David tried to talk to me, to explain, but I told him to have his things out of the apartment by the end of the week. The divorce papers I'd prepared were already filed. It was over. Sophie and I sat together in one of the hotel's side rooms after everyone else had left. She'd taken off her veil and was still in her wedding dress, mascara running down her face. I sat next to her in my lavender bridesmaid dress, and for a long moment, we didn't say anything. I really didn't know, Sophie finally said. I know you have no reason to believe me, but I swear, Emma, I didn't know he was still married to you." "I believe you," I said, and I meant it. "David lied to both of us. He's very good at lying." "I should have told you I was seeing someone," Sophie said. "But David said we had to keep it secret because of work complications, and I was so in love that I believed him. I thought we were being romantic, sneaking around like teenagers. I was such an idiot." "We both were," I said gently. "Can you ever forgive me?" Sophie asked, turning to look at me with red, swollen eyes. "I know I don't deserve it. I know I should have questioned more, should have been suspicious when he wouldn't introduce me to his family or when he was always busy at certain times. There were so many red flags, and I ignored all of them because I wanted the fairy tale so badly. I thought about that for a long time. Could I forgive her? She'd fallen in love with my husband, even if she didn't know he was my husband. She'd planned a future with him, dreamed about a life that should have been mine. But she'd also been lied to, manipulated, hurt just as badly as I had been. I don't know," I said honestly. "Maybe not right now. Maybe not for a long time. But eventually. Maybe. We were best friends for 25 years. That has to count for something." Sophie nodded, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. "I understand. And I'm so sorry, Emma. For all of it." 6 months later, I'm sitting in a new apartment across town, smaller than the one I shared with David but entirely mine. The divorce was finalized last month. David tried to fight for custody of the apartment and half of my savings, but I had all those emails as evidence of his affair, and in the end, he walked away with very little. I heard he moved to another city for a new job. I don't know if it's true, and I don't really care. Sophie and I text sometimes. Brief messages, nothing deep. She's in therapy, working through the betrayal and learning to trust again. So am I. It turns out that when your husband and best friend both lie to you for months, it messes with your head in ways you don't expect. But I'm getting better. Slowly. The story of the wedding that wasn't became legendary in our circle. Some people think I'm a hero for exposing David. Some people think I'm cruel for waiting until the wedding day. Some people think we're all equally at fault in this mess. I've learned that you can't control what people think of you. You can only control your own actions and live with the consequences. Do I regret how I handled it? Sometimes. Maybe I should have confronted them privately. Maybe I should have been the bigger person. But then I remember how betrayed I felt, how small and stupid and worthless I felt when I read those emails, and I think I did what I needed to do to take back my power. The city keeps spinning, indifferent to human drama. Every day, thousands of stories unfold in these streets, some happy, some tragic, most somewhere in between. Mine is just one story among millions. But it's my story, and I get to decide how it ends. I'm dating again now. Taking it slow, learning to trust. Last week, a coworker asked me out for coffee, and I said yes. It was nice. Uncomplicated. No secrets, no lies, just two people getting to know each other over overpriced lattes. Will Sophie and I ever be friends again? I honestly don't know. Part of me misses her terribly, misses our coffee dates and inside jokes and the comfort of having someone who knew me better than anyone. But part of me will never forget standing at that altar, watching her about to marry my husband, seeing how happy she was at my expense even if she didn't know it. Maybe forgiveness isn't something you do all at once. Maybe it's something you walk towards slowly, in small steps, day by day. Maybe someday I'll wake up and realize I've let go of the anger and hurt. Or maybe I won't. Maybe some betrayals are too big to fully forgive. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not having all the answers. I'm okay with my messy, complicated story that doesn't end with perfect closure or neat resolutions. Because here's what I learned from all of this: life isn't a fairy tale. People we love can hurt us in unimaginable ways. Best friends can betray us. Husbands can lie. And sometimes the happy ending we thought we were building turns out to be built on a foundation of lies. But we survive. We pick up the pieces. We start over. And maybe, if we're lucky, we build something even better than what we lost. The invitation to Sophie's almost wedding still sits in my desk drawer. Sometimes I take it out and look at it, that elegant cream paper with gold lettering, announcing a union that never happened. It reminds me of how close I came to missing the truth, how easy it would have been to stay blind to what was happening right in front of me. It also reminds me that I'm stronger than I ever knew. That I can stand up for myself even when it's terrifying. That I deserve better than lies and betrayal. And that, in the end, is the real happy ending. Not the wedding, not the husband, not even the best friend. Just me, learning to be okay on my own, learning that I'm enough all by myself. The city glitters outside my window, full of possibility and promise. Somewhere out there are new friends to meet, new loves to find, new adventures to have. My story isn't over. It's just beginning. And this time, I'm writing it myself.